You know that feeling when you watch a pro athlete? It's just flawless, effortless even. Like they're not even thinking, just running on pure instinct, total autopilot. It's this incredible image we all have. But what if that image is just a myth? Today, we're going to tear that idea apart.
So that's the big question, right? Are these expert athletes really on autopilot? I mean, we see them perform, and it looks so smooth that we just assume their brain is kind of checked out for a bit. But is that what's actually going on under the hood?
You know the term, we all do, muscle memory. It's this idea that if you just practice something enough, like thousands and thousands of times, it becomes totally automatic, second nature. The thinking is that experts can free up their minds because their muscles are just doing the work. Honestly, it's the foundation of how most of us think learning and mastery works. Okay, so does this whole muscle memory idea actually hold up when you put it under the microscope? Well, a really fascinating study from the journal Human Movement Science decided to find out. They took it to the lab and used the super demanding sport of rowing to test it. In a setup, honestly, it was brilliantly simple. They had rowers do two things. First, just row. Simple enough. But then, for the second condition, they had them row while solving a nonstop stream of math problems. The whole point was to totally overload their brains, to give them this massive cognitive load, and then see what happened. Would that supposedly automatic rowing technique hold up? So here you can get a real feel for it. On one side, you've got the blueprint for a perfect rowing stroke, all that complex, fluid motion that's supposed to be on autopilot. And then on the other side, you see the actual lab, where this whole idea is about to get put to the test in a big way. Now, this is what makes this study so good. They didn't just grab a bunch of college kids. No, they brought in members of Team Norway. We're talking the actual national team. And they compared them against rowers who were experienced, for sure, but not at that national level. I mean, if anyone on the planet is supposed to be on autopilot, it's gotta be these elite guys, right?
Okay, so the stage is set. You've got these world-class athletes on the rowing machine. Their brains are fried from crunching numbers. And what happens next? Well, this is where the whole idea of autopilot gets completely flipped on its head.
And here it is, the big takeaway, straight from the study's conclusion. Let me just translate this for you. Doing math problems, it messed up everyone's rowing form. And yeah, that includes the national champions. Turns out there was no magic autopilot that could protect their expert technique when their brain was busy. And you don't have to take my word for it, just look at the data. This graph here shows something called relative leg extension. It's a really key part of good rowing form. And it's as clear as day, isn't it? For both groups, the elites and the non-elites, when that cognitive load goes up, boom, the quality of their movement goes down. The experts were definitely not immune.
And we're not talking about a tiny little tweak here. Their whole movement changed. It got simpler, yeah, but also more rigid, less fluid. That smooth, powerful stroke you see from an expert, it just vanished. Under all that mental stress, their technique actually went backwards. It started to look a lot more like a novice was rowing.
Okay, so the lab results are pretty undeniable. But look, this isn't just about rowing in a lab. The implications here are huge for any kind of high-stakes performance. And to really see what I mean, let's jump out of the lab and into a completely different arena. All right, put yourself in this situation. Imagine you're a boxer, and your jab, that's your bread and butter. It's the punch you've thrown a million times. It's supposed to be fast, safe, automatic, your go-to weapon. But then what happens when it just stops working? When that one automatic skill starts failing you again and again? This quote from the site Expert Boxing just nails that feeling of frustration. It says, throwing the jab in a brawl felt like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Wow. I mean, you've drilled this thing into your very being. It's supposed to be automatic, and then in the chaos of a real fight, it's useless. You'd feel totally powerless.
And that's the real puzzle, isn't it? If the jab is just pure muscle memory, why do good opponents seem to counter it so easily? The problem, it turns out, isn't what you'd think.
See, the reason it's failing isn't because there's a flaw in the movement. The flaw is the automatic movement. The failure is happening because of a lack of active, conscious thought. In boxing, they have a name for this. It's called telegraphing. And it's basically when your actions become so repetitive, automatic, that your opponent can read you like a book. They know exactly what you're going to do before you do it, all because you've become predictable. So get this. The number one reason your jab gets countered? It's because you're being predictable. That perfectly drilled automatic punch is the very thing that's making you an easy target. Your greatest strength, that it's automatic, has suddenly become your biggest weakness. So what's the fix? It's not to go back and drill the jab another 10,000 times. Nope,
The solution is to be intentionally unpredictable. It's all about strategic variation. You got to change your target, aim for different spots. You got to change the moment you throw it, your timing. And you've got to use feints, fake the jab first. In other words, you have to actually think about it.
And this is where it all clicks into place, right? The rowers in the lab and the boxer in the ring, they're teaching us the exact same lesson. Peak performance isn't about being a mindless robot on autopilot. It's the opposite. It's about being mindful, adaptive, and strategic. It turns out that even our most practiced, most ingrained skills still need our brain to be in the driver's seat to really work. So that leaves us with a really big question to chew on. If the end goal isn't just drilling a skill until it's completely automatic, if even the absolute best performers in the world have to stay mentally switched on, then what does that mean for how we should be practicing and learning? Not just in sports, but in everything.